Here's that near miss by Jacob Trouba on Marty Necas. And I'm going to be caught in the middle here once again because I'm going to try and put out some of the pitchforks and torches here a little bit by saying I don't think this was an attempted flying elbow to the head. I really don't think that was his intent. I think he was just trying to make a shoulder check. I think it's pretty clear their legs do make contact with each other, and that's what pitches Trouba forward. But I also want the Trouba fans to face the reality that just because their legs clip doesn't necessarily mean this was going to automatically be a clean check otherwise. And I'll show you what I mean. Look at Trouba on approach. Look how low he is. He's practically sitting down in a chair. His shoulders are lower than Necas's. Their feet are pretty much lined up, and he's in such a tight crouch that his shoulders are below Necas's and well below Necas's head. But as he gets closer, look how he rises up. At the moment of impact, his shoulders are well above Necas's shoulders. Necas hasn't gone down at all. I know people like to say he ducked out of the way. He doesn't duck. He does not barely change head position or shoulder position at all. He just turns sideways. Trouba is way over top of him, and that shoulder is going well above Necas's shoulder and into the head because he explodes up. Look at his wrist. It's sitting right down on his leg. How low does his shoulder have to be? And then watch his arm come right up to his chest where the C would be on his jersey. How high would his shoulder have to be for his hand to be up that high? It's because he shrugs that shoulder up and drives upward and through contact. So even though the legs hit, he was well on his way up and pretty much all the way up way before the legs ever made contact right here. Look at where his shoulder is. Look at his upper body. His hand is at Necas's shoulder, so the rest of his shoulder is well above. Look at it again from another angle. Look how low his arm is as he starts to approach. And within that very, very short span, look how high his shoulder raises, and then that causes his elbow to follow through. He's not trying to throw an elbow, but it's just part of the process of him shrugging that shoulder so high. Trouba's elbow almost always gets involved in his hits, not because he's trying to throw an elbow, but because he's trying to throw a punch, basically, with his shoulder. He rolls his shoulder up and out so far forward that his elbow has no choice but to come with it, and that's why he does that chicken wing. Try it right now by yourself. Stand there and shrug your shoulder up as high and as fast as you can, around, forward, and upward in a circle, and watch how your elbow just comes with it, like you're throwing your shoulder into someone's head. He doesn't try and hit with his body. He tries to hit with his shoulder. And when he does that, he tries to throw his shoulder all the way into it violently. And when he does that, his shoulder always rises up and towards the head, and his elbow has no choice but to come with it. It's terrible technique. And everyone says, well, you're supposed to lead with your shoulder. Well, yeah, you're supposed to lead with your shoulder, but the rest of your body is supposed to come with it. So if you hit with your shoulder should stay in place, and then your chest should follow, and then your hips should follow. Your torso should hit torso. He leads with his shoulder, and that's literally the only thing that's going to make contact. And still others say Trouba is just bracing for contact when he does that. That's why he lifts his shoulder up. Watch what Necas does. He's bracing for contact. He does what a normal person does. He squeezes his arm tight to his body and tenses up. His shoulder rises up only a little bit, but it's just as his arm squeezes to his body. He doesn't brace for contact by raising his shoulder up as high as humanly possible and then swinging his elbow around on follow-through. No human being braces that way. That's what a human being does when he wants to increase the violence of a shoulder check. So no, I don't think this was an attempted flying elbow. I think this was just a very poorly executed, attempted high shoulder check with elbow follow-through. Which, don't get me wrong, in my opinion, is still dirty, still a penalty, and still extremely avoidable, but just not as intentionally dirty as you might think.